So welcome to session 3 of the FDP. So today's theme is curriculum development, and we saw that how curriculum needs to be developed for a B school, how it is different from any other professional program. Also, we had the opportunity to listen to Dr. Madhulika, who talked about how innovative assessments can be designed. So in this particular session, I would like to welcome you all and introduce the session with you. So this session talks about mapping with the program learning goals. I take the opportunity to welcome Dr. Vidisha Vyas, Professor ILM University, Gurgaon. Dr. Vyas is a PhD in economics from IIT Bombay. She has done her MA in economics from Rajasthan University and MBA from ICFI University. She has more than a decade of experience in teaching and research. Prior to joining ILM, she has also worked as a professor at Alliance University, Bangalore. She has published research papers, articles, and case studies in various journals and magazines. Her research interest includes uh, economics, industrial organizations, mergers and acquisition, and international business. I welcome you, Dr. Vyas, to the session, and over to you.
Thank you, Dr. Saima. Good afternoon, everyone. In the post-lunch session, the most difficult session for a day-long FDP or a 5-day-long FDP. So fresh out of the lunch, and many of you are attending the session at home. It looks like that. Oh, what to do in this session particularly. So you must be seeing that you are seeing my face in some other device, and the voice is coming from other device. My sincere apologies for the same, because one of the devices is not functioning well. So I really have to log into 2 devices so that our connection remains seamless. All right. So since morning, you were very strongly engaged in terms of curriculum development, and we all are aware as a B school faculty at some point of time, the curriculum is the most crucial part of our teaching and learning. So we keep on designing or reinventing our curriculum. We focus on pedagogy, and all these things lead to something called as what we want to do is our achieving program learning goals. So we will be discussing through this process, but and morning 2 sessions. First session you heard about what is the value of a curriculum in B school, what are the standards we keep in our mind when we are preparing a B school curriculum, what are the agencies which our accreditation agency requires from us, and above all, how relevant we are for our student. So that's where we start preparing our curriculum. So there's an entire process to do it. A kind of brainstorming goes into this system. We have our set goals in our mind when we are creating the curriculum. So what are those goals? The discussion which we're going to do in this particular session is actually on mapping program learning goals. But before we start the task of mapping it, and I show you that how exactly the entire curriculum is linked in terms of program learning goals, we need to understand that how to set up these program learning goals. So before I just took up with the slides and all, if anyone have any question at any point of time, feel free to ask. The session is not a monologue, it's dialogue between all of us. So wherever and whenever you feel that you may not be agreeing to me, or probably you are not aligned to me, or you have a different thought on the same. We all are professors. So I'm not teaching anybody, I'm just sharing my views here. I just want to share that what I think about creating the program learning goals and mapping those program learning goals. So let's discuss this together. So our ultimate goals for all of us who are in a teaching profession, we teach as a course or offer learning activities, and what is our outcome there? We want our students to gain specific knowledge, perform certain activities which are related to the discipline. In our case, probably largely management. Others can apply the same rules as well. Or what we require to develop the sensitivities to practice that particular discipline. This is what we would look forward to whenever we start our thought and mind to develop the curriculum. So it will be good if I begin with PPT so that the discussions can happen in a better manner. Is my PPT visible? Am I audible?
Yeah, you are audible. You can put it in the slideshow mode.
Yeah,
So
I'm
it will
making it a slideshow. Yeah. So I hope, or maybe I could just start keeping a slideshow because it helped me to navigate and stop this in between and just make the discussions more healthier. So this is one slide which I would just display in the beginning because I want to revisit it again. This is purely in context of ILM University, but I'm sure each one of you working at some of the other university or institute have this particular heading slide in your mind, and you all could visit this vision and mission statement in your own institute's website also. Why this is crucial? Because this is the point where we begin framing our program learning goals, which lead to a robust curriculum development, which leads to the mapping of the outcome, assessment, and ultimately our crucial goal that what student would like to achieve. So a very simple question is, what exactly is program learning goal? If I say in a simple manner, it's student statement of long range intended outcome of program and curriculum. We have an MBA program, you probably have a master's program, an MTech program. Each of them have a long range intended outcome. What do you want your student to pick up? You do not design curriculum abruptly. We design curriculum with a lot of thoughts into it. And why do we do so? We want to increase the knowledge of our students. We want to increase their skills or enhance their skills or the employability question. And we want to instinct some values in the student. And that should be reflected in our graduates. So keeping into these long range goals, we create program learning goals. What is important here is that our program learning goals, which we create, need to be consistent with the mission and vision of any institute. Every institute thoughtfully craft their vision and mission. Once it is crafted, these are very lofty and mountaineous statements which drives the entire university or institutes towards a common goal. And these program learning goals are actually the blueprint of arriving at this mission and vision or reaching to our goals, which we have planned together as an institution. So here, what happens that you have a program learning goal, and can I achieve it abruptly? No. So a program learning goal is achieved through various learning outcomes, and these learning outcomes are achieved through successful completion of 2 or more courses. So here I would like to ask a question. I'll pause my slide share. I want to ask a question. So the question is very simple. Is there any difference between outcome or goal, or both are same? I'll stop share so that I could see your faces on the screen. And I'm also removing this spotlight so that I could have a view of all the participants here. So very simple question to all of you. Is goal and outcome same or different? If you believe same, I can proceed. If you believe different, we can discuss. What's your thought? Anyone?
Outcome
We keep it
not be,
yeah. Sorry.
no, that's
ahead.
fine. Ma'am, I think that outcome is something which we have achieved. See, goal is something with which we start our course. The intention of designing the course, like we could have had any course. Why did we choose only that? You know, like for example, I could have had marketing management. I could have had digital marketing. So why I chose and what I chose, and you know, what is the objective behind choosing that particular course is what we mean by the goal. You know, what the course intends to achieve, you know, when you have drafted the curriculum is the goal. But you know, what you have achieved at the end of the day, it need not be one and the same.
Can I try, ma'am?
Hello.
Can I try? You're not audible, ma'am. Yeah.
Yes, hello, ma'am.
Am I audible? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Can I
Mr.
try?
Shiv Prasad.
Goal
Yeah,
is
please
our
go ahead.
Dr. Shiv
target.
Prasad here.
What do you want to
it's
and
a
become?
matter of, putting it in simple terms, the outcome is the expected goal at the end of it. I mean, this is what you project, and the goal is what was intended. So goal is what you are trying to say. Okay, this will be the outcome when I complete my course, right? And the outcome is what part of that goal you actually were able to achieve at the end of the session.
Right.
Ma'am,
Yeah.
goals are part of a more wider spectrum.
Exactly,
So
Mr. Deva. Yeah.
objectives are more, you can say, they are more specific, more precise
Okay.
objectives.
So yes, obviously that anybody else want to speak about it?
Yes,
Go ahead.
ma'am. I'm Arpit Khurana, Assistant Professor, DAV Institute of Management. Ma'am, I want to explain it in one line that outcomes, basically, they are the evaluation of your goals. Like goals we decide first, whereas the outcomes, they are the evaluation, like whether we are able to achieve those goals or not.
Exactly. I completely agree with you. It's precisely summed it up. Yes, Mr. Mohanna, you want to talk about it? Or Ms. Mohanna?
Yes,
Dr.
ma'am.
J.
When we talk
Mohanna,
about
yeah.
goals, I'm here. When we talk about goals, it talks about the aim or the purpose or what we are going to achieve for the result, what is to be determined, predetermined. But when we talk about an outcome, it is the final end product or end outcome what we have received through the goals. So according to me, goal is the predetermined and outcome is what we have received after our
Yes.
achievement of the process.
Undoubtedly, I could completely agree to what all you have said. They are actually two different things. One is predetermined and one is what you would like to achieve. So for the majority of sake, you can take simple example. For example, if you are playing the game of dart, everybody have played the game of dart in our lives, right? And imagine that a person is aiming at a target. So the player's objective is to land the dart at specific location on the target, and that is the goal. That my dart should go and touch the specific location which I am targeting at. That's my goal. However, to achieve this particular goal, the player stands in a certain way and completes a precise movement. And then only the dart lands at a particular location on the board, ideally the targeted location. If this happens, you have achieved the right outcome. It is closer by that, then probably you are able to achieve the outcome, but may not be precisely what you have goal for. So our learning goals can therefore be easily translated to material that a professor plans to use to cover discipline-related questions that need to be discussed in the class, as well as the particular pedagogy or an educational approach. On the contrast, your learning outcome centers on what the student should know, should realistically be able to do by the end of an evaluation, activity, or assignment in the course. So the same goal targeted by this learning objective can also be targeted by learning outcome. But the focus becomes narrow over here. The focus becomes more and more integrated. So from the student's point of view, learning outcomes really matters a lot. For a professor point of view, what matters is that we set up the right goal. If we are setting up a right goal, we are going to achieve at the right learning outcome. A quick poll for all of us. Can you see one question on your screen?
Not yet, ma'am.
So it's saying failing to poll. Poll number 1. There's some error happening. Sheikh Sahab, are you there in the meeting?
Yes, ma'am.
ये मैं लॉन्च कर रही हूँ बोल रहा है fail to launch the poll. There's some error it is showing. I'll try again. नहीं तो फिर एक बार आप देख लीजिएगा. I'll do it later then. Yeah, it's not launching. आप एक बार check कर लीजिएगा background पे.
Yeah, I think now it has been launched.
Okay, okay.
You can see,
So,
ma'am.
You just have a quick 30-second to do it. It's a small poll. So in between, intermittently, please be active to have these polls. Okay, so I'm ending the poll in this next 7 seconds. Manish Shavaji, you have raised your hand. Do you have any question here?
No, ma'am, I don't have any question. I was about to
Okay.
contribute to this goal and outcome,
Oh.
but you have addressed it. Thank you very much.
So I've just ended the poll. So Shiksab, you have to check again. That's again saying that it cannot end the poll. आपको check करना पड़ेगा इसका. So I cannot return to my screen. Sheikh ji? Okay, done. All right, so 73% of the people say that they are different and what we were speaking about that, but there are still some 27% of people who have different answer than what we have discussed few minutes back. So probably they are not looking forward to our discussion. Anyway, so what we have rightly discussed is that yes, these two are different. So one is towards planning and other is towards what realistically we have achieved out of our planning. Moving ahead, so the second point which I wanted to discuss here is that why do we draft a program learning goal? I'll put up a slide very easily to answer this question, but better we discuss this, that why do we draft program learning goals? You have a program, you must be having an MBA program, a BBA program, a BTech, MTech or BA program, but why do we draft these program learning goals? We all are very knowledgeable people. We could simply walk into our class and say, look, today I'm going to talk about this topic. This is very important for you. Then why do we have an entire exercise, an entire a gamut of people sitting together discussing so deeply these program learning goals?
It gives direction to the class.
This gives somebody was speaking.
Class.
Masida ji,
I
your
was
voice is
trying to,
not.
madam, that it,
Your voice is breaking, Sita ji. We can't hear you properly.
ma'am,
Can
am
I
I
can-
audible now?
Ma'am,
Not. Yeah, Sharat ji, please बताइए. Dr. Sharat, go ahead.
yeah, to rightly align the course objective with the outcome.
To align the course objective with the outcome. Yes. What else?
And to make the thing more systematic and we don't get deviated.
Yes. Exactly. Yes. No deviation, making the things more systematic. What more? Okay.
To make
So-
the teaching process
Yeah.
in content.
Yes, to make the teaching process precise for us. Absolutely. So you could see my screen now. I've just jotted down few points which you all have right now told us that it's first to reflect upon the quality of higher education. If we are going goalless or aimless, we do not know what we are delivering. We are not accountable neither to ourselves, nor to student, nor to institution. The most important point why we draft program learning goal is that we have to reflect on the quality of the higher education which we are providing to our students. This is point number one. Second is that if we have the goal, then only we have the capacity to transform our students through our knowledge, the competencies which is required to be acquired to going to this particular program, the values which we want to install in our students. All these are very crystal clear, defined through these program learning outcomes and goals. If we define them thoroughly, we are actually able to deliver them as well. Else, neither we are able to cover them, nor we will be able to deliver them effectively. If we can't do so, our assessment will be faulty and we will not be able to reach the outcome, desirable outcome, which we want our student to be reaching at. So, second thing is that it benefits for both student and faculty. Why? Because we are able to plug in the gaps and loopholes. We know that where we are doing good, where we need to improvise, where we can revise our goals to fit into what is required in this contemporary world. And more importantly, when we are, majority of us are from the B school. So the B school focus on something called as employability. So this gives us a clear picture that by acquiring certain skills, knowledge, and competencies, are our students employable or not? If not, are we able to make good citizens from our students? Is it possible for us that we have an agenda in the mind of developing an institution which has research focus in the mind? Does our program learning goals reflect that or not? If yes, we are in right direction. If not, we have to revisit and look again and formulate them again. So the institutions from where you are coming, I'm assuming that all of you are actually being the part of planning the program learning goal. If not, I would really appreciate that whenever this discussion happens in your organization, you become the part to it. So what is exactly happened? If you look at the small diagram on my screen, you could see that the course level achievement from program learning goal is that what is the learning outcome we were desiring? Are our goals translated to outcomes from the particular course which you are teaching? If I am teaching economics or let's say management, are my students equipped with those skills which I wanted them to understand? Do they, for example, if I take example of an economics course, are they sufficiently equipped to talk about the markets if I'm doing a microeconomics course? Are they sufficiently equipped to understand the pricing strategy? Do they take up the subjects from the real business scenario and can fit into it after I have delivered my module? If yes, I might have achieved learning outcome which is aligned to my program learning goal. I am giving us experience to student which is allowing them to reach to their goal as well. My assessment are completely linked towards what I want them to assist to. That is, they are able to apply the concepts taught in the class, research the data and the business scenarios, and give meaningful suggestions or recommendations out of that. If yes, yes, we are on the right track. So a course level outcome actually transform into a program learning outcome. Your program learning outcome actually goes directly into your institutional level, which is your mission and vision. And once you have acquired a mission and vision with right program learning goal, you are actually achieving the national level goal, which is developing and creating responsible citizens. So anyone in this group who actively participate in their university or institutions in formulating the module or course learning goal and program learning goal, do they want to quickly share their experience? Anyone? I can't hear, sir. Dr. Sita, you're trying to speak. I think there's something wrong with the connection. Your voice is not reaching us. Anyone else? Anyone who participate in the institution program learning goals exercises?
Dr. Sita, you can type your question in the chat box. I'll read it for Dr. Vidisha.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, Professor Sharath, please go ahead.
Yeah. Let me know the question from your end.
You want to hear the question again?
Yeah.
So the question is, do you participate in the program learning goals setting up activities in your institution?
Yes, ma'am. Yes.
So what is you look into? What is one or three attributes you believe in to have in your mind when you're setting up these program learning goals?
So one thing is what is expected by the industry. Okay. So
Okay.
what they look in a student after they
Yes.
complete their graduation. And the other thing is we need to take some inputs from the stakeholders. Okay. So
Right.
they are expecting from the education. Okay. That's it.
Mhm.
And we need to know the inputs that the qualities and abilities that students possess. And we need to integrate all these things to align the course objectives and course outcomes.
Exactly. Very rightly said. So I'm just taking all of you through the process. Those who have not participated yet in setting up the program learning goals, what are the steps involved? We are going to discuss that. I'll keep my discussion short because then I want to show you that how a document looks like. And post that, we want to have an exercise in a breakout room to understand how do you guys pick up the program learning goals. And after creating, how do we map it also? All right, so going back to my slides. Are my slides visible now? So there's a process to set up the program learning goals or develop the program learning goals for the institution. The very beginning is the brainstorming. So what has happened? Let's say if you're a large university, together you cannot set up the program learning goals for entire university. You're having a program on management, you have a program on technology, you might have a program in social sciences. So each program will be having its own program learning goals. So you start with a brainstorming in a small group discussion for answering the questions. Now, what are the questions which you are exactly need to answer? Now, the questions which you are supposed to answer is, what knowledge must a student have gained by the end of the program of study? Few minutes back, Mr. Sharath said that employability, probably the new things which is coming on the market, that you keep into mind. Hence, we revisit our program learning goals. Second question which you're supposed to answer is, what can student do once the program of study ends? Are they going to be a part of the job market in the corporate world? Are they going to be a researcher in the future? Are they looking forward towards setting up their entrepreneurial venture after they come out of this program of study, which you are doing at these things? If you are clear with these answers, you will be able to set up the program learning goals. This is the first step that we do a small group discussions. You're going to do the same with me in a few minutes. The second level or second important step for the program learning goal is the cognitive level. So I'll just stop my screen share again. I'll come back here. So what is this cognitive level here? For cognitive level understanding and preparation of program learning goal, we focus on something called as Bloom's taxonomy. Anybody in the group who has heard about Bloom's taxonomy or have worked on Bloom's taxonomy? I will be happy to discuss. Anyone?
Yes.
Yes, somebody said yes.
Satya is there.
Rajiv, Mr. Rajiv ji, you are saying yes for the same? Or Satya Ranjan Mishra ji is saying yes?
Yeah, I also have certain idea about Bloom's taxonomy. Actually, it classifies or it underlines the 6 levels of learning.
Absolutely.
So according to Benjamin Bloom, Bloom's taxonomy was actually coined in the 1956, but in India it has recently gained momentum. And according to that, there are 3 types of learning. One is cognitive learning, one is psychomotor, and third one I am unable to recall. So in cognitive learning, there are actually 6 levels of learning. First one is like knowledge, or you can say that remember. Then again, and it goes on the level of learning, the increases on the level of complexity, and the last is the synthesis. Or you can say that the students, after learning certain course, they can comprehend the concepts. So basically the idea of Bloom's taxonomy, the whole idea of incorporating Bloom's taxonomy in the learning, teaching and learning methodology is that it actually categorizes the level of a student to which we are inculcating we are trying to impart learning to which group of students.
Exactly.
Like for example, if we are designing a program learning outcome for undergraduate students, then they will be like to a level of learning, remembering and recall, or knowledge and recall. Then for postgraduate, another 2 levels are there. Then again for PhD level. So actually it helps the teacher or the faculty to design the PLO, program learning
I
outcome.
agree with you, Rajiv ji. Completely agree with you. Let's hear to Mr. Mishra. Mr. Mishra, you have raised a hand. Would you like to speak something?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, sir.
Yes. So I actually have happened to take part in curriculum development in our university. I'm from Gujarat National Law University, ma'am. So we follow a 10-point model, which is generally based on the Bloom's taxonomy, and it's actually a very practical application of the Bloom's taxonomy. So if you permit me, I can just list out the 10 points which we really highlight at the time of curriculum designing, so that I think a lot of participants can benefit out of those points.
Please go ahead, sir. You have some time to do that.
Okay.
No
Okay.
worries.
So the first point is preparation of course outline in consultation with minimum 2 experts from India and abroad. Second one is inclusion of latest leading and landmark judgments. Third one is inclusion of a list of books, at least 10 good books every year we have to identify, and then 5 good articles we have to identify every year. And then the fifth one is very interesting. We get insights and inputs from the best practices of leading law schools in the world. And the sixth one is identifying the events that are going to happen, like conferences, seminars, etc. And organization of guest lectures. You have to identify who you are going to call. And then, you have to identify some Nobel laureates or Magsaysay awardees or national or international law firms, etc., to invite them in the future. And you have to establish contacts with leading universities. And in the point number 10, which is more inclusive, in that we have to think about what are the emerging issues and emerging areas. And then, elements of sustainable development, we have to incorporate in that. Then, what is your vision for the next 5 years with regard to this particular course? Then, teaching methodology and career prospects. We have to identify all these aspects in the course at the designing stage itself, so that our students get the best of the world in terms of teaching.
We agree with you, Dr. Mishra. I think all the participants will understand that how much kind of effort is exactly gone in designing a curriculum and mapping it with the program learning goals.
Right.
And therefore we achieve the outcome which is desirable to achieve the outcome. So the exercise is not a futile exercise, rather a very, very brainstorming and an intense exercise.
And yes,
yeah.
And in this discussion, what happens, all the faculty members sit together. Therefore, what happens, we get to learn from each other as to what is the career prospect in somebody else's subject. So that kind of inter-learning also happens.
Exactly. So what a few minutes back, we were hearing from a professor about Bloom's taxonomy, Professor Ranjan, I guess. He talks about the 2 domain, cognitive and psychomotor. The third one is actually affective. So the cognitive affects the mind, and affective is on spirit, and psychomotor is on body. So we're not going to Bloom's taxonomy very strongly over here. What I want to make you understand is that the first part of the Bloom's taxonomy, which we keep into mind, is remember what Professor said as knowledge also. Then it is understand, apply, analyze, evaluate, and create. So remember, understand, apply, analyze, evaluate, and create. Now, question arises is, what is its role into program learning goals preparation? The role is that the choice of the word, the choice of the action word which you are going to use, the choice of the correct verbs which you are going to use when you are drafting your program learning goals. So drafting program learning goals is also a very, very specifically thought about exercise. So when you are having in mind that, let's say you are preparing it for a first year UG or a UG program. So you said that the knowledge or remembering particular concept is most important for my student. So the words which you try to focus when you prepare your program learning goals is define, identify, indicate, know, list, memorize, recall, repeat, such kind of words you use, action words you use when you're designing your goals. When your purpose is comprehension or what you call understand, in that case, you use the word in designing program learning goals in terms of classify, describe, discuss, explain, express, locate, recognize, restate, review, suggest, summarize like this. So these words ensure that your idea or your goal is that your student understand the concept. The third part which comes in apply or the application. There you use the word like compute, construct, demonstrate, illustrate, interpret, organize, schedule, investigate. So such words are used while framing or drafting your program learning goals. If you reach the next level of the cognitive part of Bloom's taxonomy, that is after applying, if it is analysis or analyzing things, you use the word appraise, categorize, compare, debate, critically analyze, distinguish, examine, inspect, or criticize, or let's say appraise. All these words are used when you are reaching the cognitive level of analysis of your student. Now, let's say you're going to a little more higher level in your organization for the students who are doing masters, MPhil, or ahead also. Then what kind of words you use? So here we have reached from the level of knowledge, comprehension or understanding or applications analysis to the level of synthesis or evaluation, what we call. So there what you do, you use the word arrange, assemble, design, formulate, organize, plan, set up. All these words are being used when you're creating a program learning goals. When you are thinking in mind that the goal of your teaching and learning is synthesis of an idea or what you can call evaluating the process. Then you reach the last level, what you call as create. That's the highest cognitive level which we try to achieve. Yeah, this Seema ji, I'll put up the slide because when I put up the slide, I can't see my audience, all the audience together. So I'll just put up the slides also for you guys. So when you're evaluating it, we use the word like choose, decide, grade, judge, score, select, value. All these words are being used in the statement when we are creating or looking forward towards creating a program learning goals where you want your student to create something. So it's like remember, understand, apply, analyze, evaluate, create. So these are the 6 levels which you keep into mind when you're drafting your program learning goals. Now you're doing it for undergrad program, a postgrad program, or probably a program, a vocational program. So automatically the vocational program has nothing to do with the word called remember. You probably start with application part of it or understanding part of it. Maybe when you're doing a PhD program, you actually want somebody to only evaluate or create. So you do not use the word in your program learning goal, which talks about remembering, understanding, or applying something. So this is how you have to keep into mind the broader ideas, what you wish your student should learn in your particular program. Based on this Bloom's taxonomy, you actually take it forward towards creating the goals. Similar to the Bloom's taxonomy, we have something called Solow's taxonomy also. I leave it to the listeners or the participants to research a bit. You have not heard about it, I'm pretty sure. Solow's taxonomy, which is also widely used worldwide to create program learning goals. Or maybe I could share the document with you later.
From Dr. K. Sharath. Yeah.
Yes, Dr. Sharath, please go ahead.
Yeah, ma'am. So as you said that about levels of Bloom's taxonomy, I can sum up like this. So as we talk about different levels, we start from lower end to higher end, level of needs. So all these levels of Bloom's taxonomy should end out with should end up with 3 learning outcomes. basically.
Absolutely.
So they
Yes.
are knowing, doing, and being. So these are the 3 outcomes that we need to expect from the learning
Our
object.
students. Yes.
So they should know, they should do, and they should be. Means these 3 are the learning outcomes which we expect from these 6 different levels of taxonomy.
Okay, so the point here which I want to make, Sharadji, is that we understand this probably in our mental cognizance, we take into account these thoughts also. What we miss out is when we formulate the statement. Sometimes we very vaguely formulate the statement. Undergrad student, if you're writing a statement like synthesis, the data or use the data, if you say understand the data, probably we are training him for only understanding data. But if you're saying that evaluating and analyzing, are we training sufficiently the student for that kind of world or that kind of learning which or lead to some kind of assessment in that particular learning? So point which comes to my mind here and which I want to convey to you all is that right choosing of the word is very, very crucial here. If you're not rightly choosing the word, you're actually not leading something. And automatically our program learning goals will be very vague and will end up doing something which will not lead to, first of all, the student learning outcome. And above all, we are not able to align this to our vision and mission. And at the end, that the entire exercise of 3 years, 4 years, or 5 years pending, the student goes for time. That we do not want. That is why we always suggest that when we are referring to creation of program learning goals, we should refer to Bloom's taxonomy strongly. So if you look at the third step is that formulation. So now you have a fair idea of what does Bloom's taxonomy talks about. We are not talking about affective part or psychomotor part because we're not talking about the spirit or the body here. What we're talking about as from the Bloom is mind. So we are only focusing on the words which are affected by the cognitive understanding which Bloom's has given us. So when you prepare a program learning goal, your statement should be student will be able to, the action verb comes from the Bloom's part. Whether you're looking for remembering, understanding, applying, evaluating, creating, what else you're thinking about. So this is, when I'm showing you this arrow, this means that this is how I have to take my student. I have to take my students learning from remember to create. And that's how you are supposed to plan your program learning goal. Plus the object of the statement. That analyze data or understand the ethical behavior, whatever you would look forward towards that. This last part, which is important for us, is the validity criteria. So your learning goals should actually be having some validity criteria. So before taking this validity criteria, we can go to a small poll, else you will forget this. I launched a poll, just 30 seconds. Is my poll visible on your screen?
Yeah, it's visible. It's in progress.
Five more seconds. So you can see the results and majority of you have got it right. 72% of the participants have got the sequence right in which we are supposed to apply Bloom's taxonomy while creating our program learning goals. All right, so where I was reaching is that once you have created the statement, program learning goal statement with the help of a Bloom taxonomy and the objective which you want to achieve in the class, we are supposed to validate our goals. how do we validate goals as goals? That's another question. Any goals which we actually prepare in today's world, we look forward that those goals are to be evaluated on a scale, and we call them a SMART goal. Have you heard about this concept of SMART goal? Many of you must have. SMART. I have briefly reflected it on my screen also. So Jobbing Jacob C is saying that yes. Saloni Yadav is also saying yes. Okay, great. So this SMART, when you have prepared the program learning goal, SMART stands for specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, and time bound or time sensitive, whatever you want to call it. So your specific goal should answer particular question. What? Who do we want? What do we want to accomplish by these goals? By what is the purpose of framing these goals? Who is involved? You, staff, and the student. Which identify requirements or essential attributes you want to get from these particular goals. So your goals need to be precisely and specific when you are planning them. Measurable. So it should not be a vague statement. If you are using a vague statement in creation of a goal, you are actually not reaching anywhere. Let's think about this. So if I have to say that I am preparing a goal where I write a statement, student will be able to appreciate the benefits of exercise. Okay, this is my first statement. I write a goal, student will be able to appreciate the benefit of this particular exercise I've given in the class. Or second, I say that student appreciate the benefit of a stress reduction exercise. I reframed the statement with my colleagues and said that now the goal is student will be able to value exercise as a stress reduction tool. Now probably then I say that third way, student will be able to explain how exercise affects stress. I have made the three statements. First, student appreciate the benefit of exercise. I made it a vague statement. Then I said that student value exercise as a stress reduction tool. They know about it, they value it. Then third, I say student explain how exercise affects stress. Which is the best way to formulate this particular goal in as per you? The first, second, or third? Should I say that student appreciate the exercise, value the exercise, or explain how exercise to be done to reduce stress? Kusumlata ji is saying third one. Anyone else who was agreeing with Kusumlata ji? Muskan ji is also saying third, Neha ji is saying third. So majority of the people are agreeing with the third. Exactly. So what I'm doing in the third point, I'm trying to measure my goals. If I'm not able to measure my goals, there is no point of creating that particular goal. Good, my student appreciate it. But if I'm not able to demonstrate and explain to somebody that how stress is being reduced by doing exercise, why I have taught them the exercise. I am not able to reach what I look forward towards reaching to my target. So my program learning goals are also supposed to be measurable, attainable. Very important point is that goal must be realistic and attainable by the end of the program, during their career, third year of their job, get them job immediately, or may help them in getting a good career growth after 3 years, 5 years, 7 years. All these time-bound thoughts should be in my mind, or should be attainability of the goal should be there in my mind. Whether my student is able to attain this goal or not. I have prepared a very difficult module or a course outline. I have a goal that my students have competent enough to handle the SaaS software for data. I mean, do I have that SaaS software in my organization? Am I equipped to use that in my class? Will I be able to demonstrate that? Or I make up a goal which is attainable, that a student should be analyze the data using the help of any software, which probably I am competent, available in my organization, and relevant for the student. I am getting a hands raised by Stanley Diaz School of Business.
Yeah.
I did not know the name of the
Good afternoon.
Yeah.
Good afternoon, ma'am.
Good afternoon, sir.
Yeah. If I have a question, you mentioned that the goal should be attainable, or you should. So my question is that there are certain institutes where not the same level of students. So if I compare two institutes, one might have bright students, some might not get bright students. So now the program level goals will be different, even though the degree is same, because the intellect of the second college might be around 50%, 60% who are average students, whereas one has. So will my PLG be different for that college? Because otherwise the subjects are same, the degree is same.
Absolutely, sir. The PLGs will be definitely different for you. Let's say you are from some business school and the best B school in the country is probably IIM, if we arguably or inarguably agree to it, right? So any Indian Institute of Management, let's say Indian Institute of Management, Ahmedabad. So the program learning goals which will be formulated by our institute or your institute will be different from the program learning goal formulated by IIM Ahmedabad. This is point number one. Point number two, which we can also keep into mind while formulating the goal, is that what is your institution's vision or mission? Is your vision and mission driving you towards becoming the best in the country? If yes, obviously your program learning goal will be formulated which drives you towards that mission. You want your organization to be in the top 10 B school of this country. You are probably at 50th right now. You want to be in top 10. So you will start reformulating your vision and mission statement. Linked to your vision and mission statement, you will reformulate your program learning goal. Based on your program learning goal, you are going to design your curriculum. So many courses together form the curriculum, and these program learning goals are achieved through various courses which you are going to teach in your curriculum. Right? So then you probably have a move towards a step towards it. Now, when you have these program learning goals and curriculum design in that particular manner, you deliver your pedagogy will also be in the same fashion for the class. Output will be similar. So probably you have in your mind that your students should get a job. They get good placements. Then your program learning goals will be linked to that job orientation. My institute, let's say we believe that our students should be developed into entrepreneur. So if you look at my vision and mission statement, you'll find those words in my vision and mission statement. And when I formulate my program learning goals, that also reflect it very clearly. So whenever I teach or first prepare my curriculum, the designing of my curriculum will be such that it has lots of elements which leads me towards achieving the goal that my institute should produce the students which are entrepreneurs. Right? This is how we develop our program learning goal. Yes, the base audience is same, a graduate who is doing an MBA looking for a job. But the audience are different, hence our vision and mission is different, hence program learning goals are also different. So do I answer your question?
Yes, ma'am. In fact, you confirmed it. So the accreditation agencies will only look at your PLGs and then check that your evaluation
Absolutely.
is.
They also check your vision and mission also.
Yeah.
So it's actually a flow. A vision and mission is a very mighty statement, but we have to make it happen for our organization. Hence, we form the PLGs. So an accreditation agency actually says that, are you able to achieve your vision or mission of the organization through these PLGs? And these PLGs are reflected in your curriculum or not.
Thank you, ma'am, for a detailed response. Thank you.
Thank you. So Vinita ji, Shweta ji, the PPT is not there. I am showing it briefly and removing it because whenever I have to do my discussion. So for your help, I'll share this PPT with you on your FDP WhatsApp group as well. So you all have an access to the PPT post class, post discussion as well. I want you to participate rather than seeing my PPT only. Rajiv Ranjan ji, you mentioned that explain. I mean, what is that you're looking forward to explaining?
Oh, no, actually that was the third option that I.
You're not audible.
Ma'am, actually that was the third option wherein we had to give the third. That was explained. That option was that explained that I wrote.
Okay. All right.
Oh.
So now
Sorry,
you have
sorry
created
for
no worries. You have created a goal which is specific, measurable, attainable, relevant. We have discussed relevancy through, sir, I do not know your name, who is name reflected as Stanley Dyas School of Business.
Yeah, ma'am, my name is Stanley Dias. I'm from Christ University.
Okay. Could you please type on the chat box? I can't again hear from the chat box. Your name, if you could type in the chat box. All right. So relevance is important, relevant to your organization's goal, relevant to your vision and mission, and relevant depending upon your students' admissions and the kind of student which we have got. So then the last point is that our goals has to be time bound or time sensitive. If our goals are not time bound or time sensitive, what is we are looking forward to? So that directly again linked to your vision and mission. If you look at your organization's web, go to your website, see what is the mission written over there. You always write Vision 2022. So that means before reaching 2022, you are at a sheer an amount of vision has been achieved. You have reached towards a target. And before 2022, your organization formulate again the vision stating Vision 2027. So now based on this Vision 2027, you reformulate your program learning goals to reach there. So that seems that whatever program learning goals you are making, it is time bound. So this is about formulating the program learning goals. Now, I'll give you one example. I'm giving you an example of other schools which is not relevant to B school. Why? Because I want you guys to do an exercise of formulating the program learning goals. Have a look. So I'll share these PPT with you, all of you. So if you can see my screen now, you could see that there's an example of program learning goals. I'm saying that, and this is not for a B school because I don't want to give it for the B school. This is for an astrophysics program. So at the end of an astrophysics program, what are our students able to do? A, I'm not using the word here, remember, because in an astrophysics program, why do you want any student to remember anything? So you are using the word like predict the appearance and movement of visible celestial object. So as per the Bloom's taxonomy, I have actually skipped remember. I've actually gone to understand. Right. So because a student of astrophysics need not to remember anything. He's supposed to understand or apply. So predict the appearance and movement of visible celestial objects. My second is that I'm taking the person to a little or a higher level, select and integrate information from a variety of sources, including electronic and print resource, community resource, personal data to answer selected questions. Select and integrate. So as per Bloom's taxonomy, I said apply, analyze, apply, analyze. I move from understanding towards application and analysis. So if I move further, communicate scientific ideas, procedures, result, and conclusions using appropriate SI units, language, and formats. I have moved in Bloom's taxonomy from analyze to evaluate. I can only and only communicate to anybody what I'm thinking in terms of my results and procedures if I am able to analyze and evaluate my work. Then I have describe, evaluate, and communicate the impact of research and other achievements in space technology on our understanding of scientific theories and principles and other fields of activity. So I have reached from analyze to evaluate and then to create. This is how I am able to reach to the goal where I want to enhance the cognitive ability of my student. And I prepared the program learning goals in a manner what my goal is, what my student should become. Right from predicting from the base to themselves evaluating, describing, and communicating their findings and creating the new theories for the world. So this is how we usually create the program learning goals. One example, business example I can give you in a few minutes, but I would be happy if you guys create those as an exercise part of it. Okay, so any question till this point? Anyone? Or any thought you guys would like to share? No one? Okay, quick poll before we begin ahead. The poll is on your screen. I hope you all can see. All right, so we'll have 2 more seconds and all of you have answered rightly, which is correct. The validity criteria is SMART. So once you have formulated the program learning goals, we'll take the discussion towards second part of it. The question to all of you here is, once you guys have mapped or prepared the program learning goal, delivered your module, what do you guys do next with that? You give an exam to student, the student write the exam, examination department give us a result, what next?
Assessing course attainment.
Assessing course attainment, exactly. That means I could say that you are mapping your program learning goals now. Check attainments. Shiv Prasad ji has also said check assessment. Kusumlata ji have said evaluation. Kusumlata ji, can you evaluate? Can you elaborate on what you are saying in terms of evaluation?
Yes, ma'am. As rightly you said that we have some goals, right? SMART goals. So now we want to check whether we have attained those goals or not. For that, to students, we plan assessment, evaluation.
Okay. So that is an examination, isn't it?
Yes.
So you take an internal, Sita ji has said internal examination, external examination, a continuous examination also, because you've done a sessional assessment ahead before this session. You know that you're supposed to take continuous assessment, an internal, a midterm, or an end term assessment may end up in an examination or may not end up in examination, probably end up in a project kind of thing.
Yes, yes. A study, case study also.
A case study, a project, probably a video making also. At times, for example, in my economics course, I ask students to make a video.
Yes.
You'll be surprised that no, in an economics exam, somebody is asking them to make a video. Yes, I do ask them to make a video.
Yes, ma'am.
So
I'm also PGT economics, so I also do the same.
Yeah. So what I do in my assessment in this part is that I ask my student to go to the field, apply all the concept taught in the class into one local entrepreneur or vendor. So they have to interview that, and then they have to bring that, edit that video and present it in the class for their evaluation purpose. So this is fine. This is what your course is demanding. What I'm asking, I think somebody says that check attainments. Shiva Prasad ji, would you like to elaborate what we consider as check attainments? How do you check attainments?
Am I audible, ma'am?
Yeah, you are audible.
See, we already do the mapping of our course outcomes, expected course outcomes to our program outcomes when we start the course itself, before the starting of the course, and we do the assessment in modules in our continuous assessment as well as a summative assessment at the end of the term. Okay? So based on that, for each question, we are mapping what is the weightage and whether the student has been able to demonstrate that level of attainment. So instead of just looking at it at a student level, we can look at it for a whole class. What has been the level of attainment for that particular outcome and the linked program outcome to that attainment. And then based on that, we will have to take a review whether we have fallen short or we have been able to accomplish whatever was our target attainment, or we have outperformed it, in which case we need to now recalibrate the standards of expectation next time. And if we have fallen short, we need to take again corrective measures. For the batch itself, maybe the subsequent semester, again, there will be greater focus on POs which they have not been able to do well on. Whereas for the faculty, when we are going to again deliver the same course to another batch, we will have to again recalibrate what went wrong, and find out how to again improve on the attainment level if we have fallen short.
Exactly. So I could say that you are also using a particular grid kind of thing to do it and attain it.
Yes.
It cannot be done verbally. And
Yes.
I mean, we really have to work in a procedural manner to understand whether we are able to map them or not. Are there
Yes, ma'am.
other institutions doing the similar thing? Other faculty are involved into it? See, I'll come down to a little level, second level also here. This is what we're talking about, attainment of program level goal. You actually can map your own course level goals also, whether you are able to attain them or not. That is also, it's very important for us to evaluate. And we have to create a document for that. The document is not only useful for accreditation, it is also useful for a faculty to self-evaluate themselves. Are you exactly delivering what you're looking forward to deliver? So I could take one or two more answers. So let's say I'll just give a cold call also. So Dr. Dipali, you also do a similar exercise. Shiv Prasad, you want to say something?
Ma'am, in fact, it plays out beautifully. Once the system falls in place, say we are having continuous assessment, we actually get to, do course corrections midway also.
Yes, we do.
We get to see what is the weightage of marks that we have assigned across the COs and POs. I mean, it beautifully starts falling in place once we do it in a proper systematic manner.
I just want to add here a little out of context this thing, but what we can do, Shiv Prasad ji, here when you are doing this course correction midway also. So one important thing which you can do in the beginning when you're planning the curriculum, you can ask all your faculty members to tell them in advance what is their assessment. You can float a sheet, a Google sheet kind of thing. And each course which you are teaching, we should mention that what is the assessment you have going to do in mid-semester, what is the assessment you're going to do as a continuous, and what is the end semester. And for all the modules, you can actually link those assessments. I hope you're also from B school.
Yes,
yeah. So let's say
we are doing,
so we're doing a course kind of thing where we are having a module on HR, marketing, operations, finance. Now, each one of us try to do give a separate kind of assessment to each of our students. And we all end up asking our student to prepare a project report and probably are doing an analysis on some company kind of thing. So instead of bothering our student and piling up them with a lot of group reports or a project report or company report, if we all as a faculty in the beginning planning select that, yes, this is the company report, a student is going to select one company and the same company will be used by all the modules taught by us. This reduces the burden on a student that I have to submit 10 reports to 10 people. The student is submitting one comprehensive report which contains all the elements which you are desiring as your learning outcomes. So a student doing one company or one industry in detail with one report, reducing their burden, making their learning more effective and leading you closer to your goals. So that also others can try. I think Manish Chavaji have raised his hand. We could hear him what he look forward to say us.
Yeah, good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon, madam.
Good afternoon, sir.
What I believe is attainment is a very big issue or debatable issue because every institute has been following its own methodology to show the attainment. And every committee that visits any of the institutes, they'll just see the documentation. But what I feel is for an MBA institute, I think there has to be some methodology devised which would say the number of placements, if they are more than 60%, 70%, then I think, that also should be taken into consideration before giving the final results regarding attainment. Either a student needs to be placed or, he starts something of his own. But these parameters are not at all considered when the attainment issue comes into consideration. This is what I feel, and I mean, this is my observation.
I partially agree to you, Manishi, but the point here that international accreditation agencies like AACSB or Edu Universal, these look into this matter what you are saying. So when
Right.
we present our documentation of the attainment of program or mapping our program learning goals with our curriculum, they also ask us that how many have led towards job, how
Yes.
many have led towards the entrepreneurial venture for your student, how many of your students have actually joined the family business, and how many of them are left unplaced. So
Okay.
what we lack is that to explain that despite doing everything right, why a chunk of students remain unplaced.
Remains
That,
unplaced. Yes.
yeah, that mapping doesn't happen. Yes, I think Indian accreditation agencies also have this in mind, but probably they do not deal it in depth into it. So
Right.
they probably more focus on documentation. If we are well documented or well designed our mapping, they get satisfied easily on that. On the contrary, if we actually follow the ASCSP guidelines, you will look that we have to do this exercise in much more detail than what we are doing currently.
Okay. Thank you, madam. Thank you.
Sharad ji, you were raising the hand. Do you have any point to make?
Yes, ma'am. As you said that to attain the learning outcomes, we can also include participatory learning activities in mapping, PLS.
How do we do, sir? It will be very interesting to know that.
Yeah, as we find the gap in our attainments, in the next course academic plan, we can reduce the gap by giving some space for participatory learning activities where we can find the gaps by including the topics beyond the syllabus. Okay, some field surveys we can include as a part of participatory learning activities. That's how we can improve and we can attain the course attainment, what we have to target. So that is what
I agree to you, and that could be very easily done. So what you are looking saying participatory, probably I call them co-curricular activities. They are supposed to be designed along with your curriculum. So let's say when we design our curriculum, we keep into mind very simple thing that though the faculty is competent, we have designed our course benchmarked with some of the finest university in the world. Still, in some of the courses, which are base courses, we ask our students to take up the MOOC course also. Because that supplement their information, what they are doing in the class, and that MOOC course is actually being evaluated by the faculty in terms of a quiz or something. Second, in a particular, for example, if you're teaching any module in terms of analytics, we ask our student to join the live project after the classes with some of the companies. And then what we try to do, we try to attain certain objectives from there as well.
Yes.
So participatory or co-curricular activities are becoming more important. And if you're online, it has become far easier to attain to. You can ask your student, because the companies are now in a new normal, or you could say that the now normal scenario, the companies are very strongly saying us that we will conduct the exercises online for placement and internships. And the student can do evening internships also with them. If we assimilate these evening internships with our curriculum and our program learning goals, you would find the results to be better. So very well said and taken point, sir.
Thank
so
you.
Since many of my colleagues here have shared their views on mapping, and I just be very honest to us, anyone of you who have never done a mapping, you can give a personal chat message also. So never thought of doing it, or never required it, or never done it. Is there any audience like that also? If yes, it's fine. We could take it this procedure, and you can learn this, how it is happening. It looks like that each one of us are very strongly evaluating our work or mapping our program learning goals. So that saves my time also. I sometimes believe that, because some of them have done it, never done and all. Okay, wonderful. So even if you have not done it, I would, as a faculty, I would be very happy if you understand this process. Because at times what has happened in an organization, a small team, probably a senior professor team, is largely involved in doing these exercises, and that information is communicated to our other colleagues and they take it forward in their classrooms. So, but everyone must know that how to do it. So I'll just show the slides again here. So what is a program map, and why should we do this? So usually a program map is the matrix that represent the alignment between our program goals and the outcomes and the method through which those outcomes are delivered. That is what we were talking a minute back, that we have delivered the program. Are we able to achieve what we have thought or when we begin the program? And how have we achieved it? Professor Shiva Prasad also talked about something called as midway course correction, a wonderful idea. So how do we do this midway course correction? We actually take feedbacks. We go to our student, we go to our faculty, we take a focus group feedback. We understand that what we have designed is going right or not. If not right, a midway course correction is a wonderful exercise to be taken by all of us. And then we map our goals. So there's a process, service, and experience. We have a curriculum, we designed it, we delivered it, we had given a fair amount of exposure and experience to student. We have a robust assessment method, which are very, very innovative. We are supposed to use innovative assessment methods because that helps our student to retain their learning. If you use a traditional writing kind of examination kind of assessment method, that leads to very poor learning for our student. And ultimately the attainment of being goal of getting them job does not get fulfilled. So this we have to keep into mind. The goals going to process and service, the process going to assessment methods leading us back to the goal. So it's two-way process going, and this mapping need to be done. How do we do this mapping is a question. Okay, before that, why do we have to do it? A, if we analyze the program map, we can see that whether the program currently integrates the attributes we thought about. If yes, or integrating, how are we doing it? Subsequently, you could revisit your program outlines and then include clear statement what you look forward towards in the future. If you've done well, what is the level up you're going to progress? Somebody asked me the question that are the program goals should not be similar for all the organizations? I said no. This is the point here. If you have attained those goals, when you're reframing your goals, take it a notch higher. Move towards a target where what you want to become. Drive or pull your students toward those targets. Then a complete program map clearly shows us a gap or overlap. That's what I told you in a few minutes back, the assessment overlap. As a B school, we all tend, one of the very favorite exercise for all of us is that we tend to give them a company report or an organization report or a report from the student or a group presentation from the student. But are we overburdening our student with that? Too much of overlap? Are they learning for such kind of assessment? If not, we are not reaching to our program learning goal. So that gap has to be bridged, right? So the map tells us that assessment map as well as the program learning mapping tells us that is there an overlap? Is there a gap in practice and assessment? And are required attributes and subject knowledge being imparted or not? If not, revisit the program learning goals, revisit your curriculum, do the course correction, refloat it. Refloat it with a newer batch with more vigor. Improvisation is the key to the management program. Benchmark your program to the best in the world in the universities. We won't call it plagiarism because we're not copying them anything from that. We are benchmarking against them. We are taking inspiration from them and we are bringing the best practices to our classes. That's very, very crucial and important here. So how this process begin? This we have discussed also. I'll briefly take you through this because I don't want to make my session too boring and I think my time is also running out. I have a lot more things to discuss with all of you. So these are the following stages which we usually follow when we map the program. We collect and review course outline as said by many of my fellow professors here. We develop a mapping tool. That's very crucial here. We said mapping tool, hamare college ne liya nahi, abhi hum kaise karenge? How will we do it? We don't have any things to a tool designed for us. Either you can design your own institute mapping tool or simply use an Excel spreadsheet where you can map the program activities, student activities, assessment marks or the pass percentage of your student and your learning outcomes and the attributes, skill, knowledge and competencies achieved by your student. Knowledge, skill, competency. Knowledge, skill, competency. Map all your program learning goal on this and you will get a right output out of it. Your preliminary mapping happening by selecting a core courses in UG or PG program also, and then put it in an Excel tool. How to put in an Excel tool, I am telling you right away in a minute's time. Then as a group, once you have delivered the term, don't wait for an year to conclude. That's very, very crucial here. If you're waiting for an entire year to go by, you will never be able to have a mid-course correction. Meet after every term. If you are in a semester mode, meet after every 3 months. Discuss that what has happened right or wrong with your course outline. Have you, by any kind of midterm marks also or a continuous marks also, do you believe on your Excel sheet, seeing your Excel sheet that you're achieving your goals? If yes, go ahead. If not, do the correction. Once the whole program is being delivered, again, we map our students' activity and the curricular activities on these program this outcome maps for the whole program which we have delivered for 1 year. Once you've delivered it for 1 year, do it for full 2 years, and there you have to bring into what somebody rightly pointed out about employability or placement. Are your program learning goals or the curriculum or the module outcomes have led to 70% of the class successfully placed with the package of 6 lakhs or above? If yes, you're doing right. If your class is having 70% class placed, but they are placed at an average of 3.5 lakh rupees, this is what you had an outcome in the mind. If not, do the course correction again. So this is important, and a brainstorming exercise is very important with the academic stuff. Then you review your entire program, and then you do a meeting to assess process and implication of your course structure and teaching strategies. So teaching strategies is becoming very, very crucial in, I'll just stop here to have a discussion with you and go back to it. So teaching strategy is very, very important. When we design this lofty program and a beautiful program on our paper, that yes, this is a program learning goal, this is curriculum, this is the outcome we want to achieve, the activities we are going to do, great, we have done it. And we are very successful in doing it also. But point is, what we miss is that we as a tutor, we as a teacher, we as a faculty, we do not want to take any criticism. We believe that we are doing the best in the class. We have to evaluate our pedagogy also. Map your pedagogy. See it. Is this what you want to deliver in your classrooms? Right? This is what you plan when you have you able to achieve the course outcome also, which is linked to a program outcome. If you're achieving your course outcome, that should be linked to the program outcome, that should be linked to assessment. If all are aligned, you're successfully delivering your program. If not, revisit. So start taking criticism, take your own feedback. Do not wait for institution to come and take feedback for you. Why the institution? They will say that, okay, we'll take a process feedback. But as a faculty, it is your role and your job to take your feedback from your student. There are so many ways to do it now, and with the help of technology, take up your anonymous feedback. Work on those teaching part of it, because a right teaching will lead you to assess, create a nice assessment or a right assessment for the student, leading to module learning outcome and program learning outcome. Now, how do we do it on your Excel? You can do this exercise at your own places. Have a look again. I'll take you to my slide here. Okay. Is my screen visible? Little hazy because there's a picture on this which I've taken. So you could see that there is a, on my vertical column, on my column, I have put up learning outcomes, or you can write it goals also. Both way you can do, because I was assessing outcomes, so I kept outcomes. So you can put it both learning goals or learning outcome. On your other columns here, you could see I've mentioned the word add course, add course, add course. So my MBA program, what is my, how many, in general, a very crucial question comes to our mind. How many goals to formulate? So something between 7 and 12 is an ideal goal. If it is lesser than that, probably we're not covering adequate in our program. If it is more than that, we are not able to deliver them. So ideal size of a program learning outcomes or goals should be somewhere between 7 and 12. So you map these 7 and 12 goals over here. Put up all the courses which you are teaching in the entire year, or if you're mapping it semester wise or term wise, nothing like that. It's a fantastic thing you are doing. So make a semester-wise, a term-wise courses here. Now you have a grid ready with you. What you do next is that.
Dr. Vidisha, I think it is not visible to some people, so they are asking for slideshow mode.
Okay, I'm doing it. Is it visible now?
I think, yeah, it is much better, yeah.
So you could see that you have a learning goal or outcome. You have a course here. I put up some cross here. So why do I have put up some cross here? Which indicates that whether a particular program goal is covered, taught, or assessed. So where, let's say it's a, I'll show you in a real-time grid how it looks like. Let's say it's a goal number 1. So for this course, I could see that course number 1, course number 5, course number 9 are actually either teaching it, covering it, or assessing this goal. My second goal is not assessed or taught or covered in the first course which I've taught in the MBA program, but maybe it is assessed by second, third, and fourth course. Fifth and sixth course are again not dealing with this program learning goal particularly, and probably ninth course is again dealing with the course. So I just put cross against the course name and the outcome which I am dealing in that particular course I am delivering. So let's say if I say that analyze the data adequately. This I am teaching in finance course, I am teaching quantitative technique course, and teaching in economics course. So I'll put a cross against this. First, data analysis, economics is teaching, finance is teaching, let's say QT is also teaching, and operation is also teaching. So all these 4 courses are actually mapping to my program learning outcome. HR, OB, probably, or let's say marketing are not dealing with this particular outcome. So I have not put cross against them. Right? So this is how we put up the learning outcome grid. This grid could be very easily prepared in Excel. Once you have prepared this grid, now what you can do with this grid? Now you know that every outcome which has been delivered or not delivered. हो सकता है कि ऐसा भी कोई outcome हो, there could be one goal which is not being covered adequately by any of the module which you have or course which you have delivered. That's a point of thought for you. So this helps us to understand in how many modules we have delivered similar kinds of things. We are reinforcing our goals. Analyze the maps in such a manner that the delivery method you have used is simple and focused. So your learning outcome could be achieved effectively. And last but not least is your effective assessment. Your assessment needs to be right. Otherwise, the goals will not be reached. If I'm asking in an economics class to write an essay, that will not help my student at all in the business world. If I'm asking them to make a pricing strategy, probably that could help them. I'm asking them of industry which is falling in oligopoly market, asking them to make a pricing strategy for them. Probably they could give us a better result rather than giving and asking them to write an essay on oligopoly. That we have to keep into mind. So this is about discussion part on formulation of program learning goal and mapping it. So I think those who have not done it could try going to their respective institution. No need for an invitation from your dean or a director to do it. You can yourselves have an exercise and do it for your sake. That am I doing right in this manner? If yes, fine. If no, we can discuss back how to do it properly. So before I give you an exercise, I want to show you one document which we are proud to say that we prepared it in very exhaustive manner at ILM. And how do we map our program learning goals with our course or one module, and then we make up a grid together to assess that how we have assessed for all the modules together. Before that, any question? Anyone? All right, a quick poll and then we'll go to the seeing a course structure and how we work at ILM, a dummy of that for you, which you can look forward towards creating for yourself. Okay. You could see the poll results. The right answer is all of the above. Many of you have given different answers. So okay. Okay, so Miss Mamta has raised the hand. Mamta ji, if you have a question, please go ahead and ask. Okay, probably by mistake. All right, so I would like to show you one more document. So I'm preferring to show my own work because what I teach rather than going to other work. So is my screen visible? So I just thought that since you all are very senior people and you are, I'll just go back to the screen, and involved in curriculum development and working towards accreditations also. So all could see that whether you must be doing the same exercise, but doing it more elaborately probably help us better when we are going towards our accreditations. So yeah, so what we do at Alum, we call it a module, you can call it a course. And then we try to have a faculty approval form for our course where we give the complete detail of the faculty. Once we have done this, we reach towards description of the course. We try to find out which is the nearest Indian course of what we are delivering, and we can benchmark with the foreign universities as well. We introduce our course with what is module, what is the objective of the module. We also very clearly specify in our goal that what are the profiles which come to the institute for this after reading this particular module or studying this module, what all profiles students can try to crack. Then we talk about the sectors where it is applicable, who are the current recruiters in the organization, where the learning from this module will be important, who are our potential recruiters, and what is, the focus of our course. And then we also talk about here, first, what you call as CO, the course outcome, we call it probably the module learning goals. So if an economics module is being taught, I have designed 4 of them. Since it's a very preliminary course, the idea is to give them understanding rather than only focusing on synthesis or evaluating, and also acquiring the knowledge. And then we strongly prepared what are we going to deliver in each session, what we are doing. Any kind of video exercise which you are going to do has to be mentioned in advance, and that is to be shared with the student in advance again. Any kind of activity which a student is going to do in the, and this last column you could see is very important here in terms of our breakout room activities or online activities, because as of now we are functioning online and it could be our new normal. So what activities we can do in the class or in the online mode also, we emphasize that clearly. So every session is well defined. Then we go to the readings which we give to our students. Then we talk about the article which we are going to discuss during the entire module. And then we carefully craft each session, mentioning the essential reading, desired reading, any videos if we are going to show to the student during that particular session we are delivering the topic. So this is how it's exhaustively done by every faculty at ILM for every, what you can say that, module or every course we are delivering. So once we have exhaustively planned and prepared our module, we come here and we reach something called an assessment plan. So we clearly mention what is the assessment plan of this particular course and what are the module goals we have linked to it and assessing it. Somewhere M1, M2 is assessed, somewhere M3, M4 is assessed. So we clearly mention that what are we going to assess. What is the detail of each component of assessment we are going to do here? And how are we going to mark the student also? So there is no ambiguity when we are marking for any component. Assessment map is very clearly linked, whether it is individual, group, open book, closed book, project, any kind of thing, presentation. How are we going to deliver? Delivery is important at ILM or for every one of us for that matter of fact. So here we again say that we are teaching map in terms of lectures, seminars, project, case discussions. What are we going to deliver during the entire sessions in the class? Here we map our program learning goals. So if you look at, I'll first discuss the program learning goals and then I'll come to the point, how do we map it? Have a look of these program learning goals. I hope my screen is visible to everyone. Just a sec. Is it visible? Okay. So now you could see that I said that program learning goal number 1, an understanding of organization and management techniques to allow investigation into business and management issue. So my job is, when I'm creating this particular course, am I going to cover this, teach this and assess this? Absolutely yes, in a microeconomics course. I'm telling them the management techniques to investigate the business problems in terms of the markets, in terms of the consumer behavior. Hence, I'm covering this, teaching this and assessing this. My second program learning will talk about ability to acquire, analyze and understand. So if you look at the goals, I'm actually following a Bloom's taxonomy when I am creating my program learning goals and mapping it with my course outline. So an ability to acquire, analyze and understand data and information for managerial decision. Am I doing it in microeconomics course? Of course, yes. My students take up the data of the companies, understand their various facets, the competition which they are facing in the market, the pricing strategy which they're going to form, the costing, everything they're assessing using the data. Hence, I'm teaching this, also covering and assessing the same. Third is critically thinking and informed judgment leading to problem solving, decision making and negotiating skills. Yes, they are doing it through microeconomics module also. PLG number 4 is cognitive flexibility, which enable adaptability to uncertainty to rapidly changing business environment. I'm not dealing in microeconomics to deal them with adaptability and uncertainty. Marketing guys must be doing it more rigorously. So hence, I have not mapped it with my grid. Then understanding and disruptive and technological changes and find innovative and entrepreneurial solution. Microeconomics do not deal with it. However, the courses on marketing, entrepreneurship, design thinking deals with them. Hence, they tick mark this particular PLG. I do not do it here. Emotional intelligence and people skill and communication, working in teams and people, HR, OB, strategy, all these courses do this. They actually map this course. Last PLG, which we have formulated for us, is being cognizant of the impact of individual and corporate action on society, recognizing responsible and inclusive business practices, sensitivity to social, economic, and environmental responsibility of business. Yes, each one of us at ILM look forward towards covering this particular goal. We cover it, some of us taught it, some of us might assess it all, but definitely the entire curriculum is covering this particular PLG. So I have made a complete grid about it and I have marked that which PLGs I'm teaching, covering and assessing in my modules. So the point again, which I'm trying to make here, I'll go back to my slide once before I end up this. You have seen the program learning goals which we have formulated. Have a look of our vision and mission. The ILM University will foster academic excellence, application-oriented research and innovation. We will promote entrepreneurship and employability with a focus on skill development and technology. If you look these lines, if you remember my program learning goals, both are having a sync. Academic application, innovation, research, employability, entrepreneurship, and technology. All these words you are finding in the program learning goals as well. So if I had a mission and vision statement, I formulated the program learning goal with that particular vision and mission statement. And this I bring to my curriculum. Once I have delivered my module, we do another exercise, which I will not be able to do it right now with the paucity of time, is having a module review form. So I bring these information back to my module review form, which the entire faculty group or academic group sits and discuss that, whether we are able to map our PLG, achieve them. If not achieve them, how can we incorporate in the future modules for us? This whole exercise is very important for us as a faculty. For institute, undoubtedly. Undoubtedly for institute, there's no say that they have to do it if they want to become great. They want to get accredited by the best ranking agencies. But for a faculty, it gives us a lot of insight. Are we doing it right or not? If you're not upgrading, we are not delivering value to our student, not doing the justice to what we should do. So this is which we are, and I'm ending my discussion now. We are left with 15 minutes, it looks like. Simon ma'am, we are left with 15 minutes, right?
Yeah, 4:30 the session will end.
So I would be happy that if either we make in 15 minutes time, either we go to the breakout room, or you want to make your PLGs, you want to discuss, or those who are interested, they can have a discussion, post your questions to me, or can tell me that if they're facing difficulty as per their institute's vision and mission, where I could help them to formulate their program learning goals. Anyone, please. So it's a two-way exercise, not a one-way, please. So
we can take Q&A because of the paucity of time.
Or you have a Q&A for the day today?
If they have any question, then they can take up.
Yeah, that's what I look forward to, that I want to hear from them what they do in
So
their
some
own
of them are asking for the document. I think module plan is what they are referring to.
Yeah, Dr. Advaita, what document you're looking for, my PPT or the module plan? Anyone? The module plan. Dr. Advaita, I could guide you to do it, but that's a copyright for us. So I will not be able to share that document with you, but feel free to discuss with me separately to help you out to create one. What I can do, I can give you the heading for that. I'll create one document separate out of it. I'll mark up the heading for those, which the area you need to develop for your institution, and you can do it. That I will do. So give me today's time. By tomorrow, I'll give it to Dr. Saima. Dr. Saima will post to you a Word document with the headings, and then you can develop it at your institution as per your requirement. So no questions from anyone. So it looks like teachers don't have questions.
Ma'am?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so we have already spoken about the curricular aspect of mapping. I mean, just out of curiosity, can you just share some insights on how we can map co-curricular and extracurriculars, just so that we can understand it better? Because if we can include that also as part of the attainment mapping, I feel our approach could be a bit more holistic.
Okay, so sir, there are a couple of things. So this exercise we do with the module review. Let me search on my system if I'm having a ready module review, or just a work in progress also, for which I could help you to show you. So that could also be mapped. For example, any guest lecture, any simulation we do in the class, or any live project my students are doing. What we do, we document.
Those are again more like the academic inputs, like so say for example we are having some other activity, maybe like a sports,
extracurricular.
Extracurriculars.
Okay, extracurricular.
Yeah.
Okay, two things here. We have not mapped them in terms of our module learning part of it. We map them as a separate thing, separate in the sense that we document it. We document it for accreditation, that all of my club activities are documented with the pictures, with the activity, and if possible, since we're doing many things online, we're keeping the recordings also. If not full recording, we're keeping bites of the recording. So all my club activities, be it finance, HR, marketing, are recorded. Apart from that, we have an activity which maybe we will discuss the future classes with you, future sessions, on personal leadership program and career development program at ILM. That includes a series of activities done with a focused group of students. So each faculty at ILM is considered as coach, and that coach is having coaches. So let's say I have 3 group of coaches, roughly around 15 coaches with me, group of 5 each. I have a scheduled exercises to be done with them per month. Let's say one is that how to make their resume, how to work on the LinkedIn profile and connect and do the intentional networking. Then we look at that, how to connect with the alumni. We talk about that, talk about your dream company and see that what is your dream company looks forward towards you as a person or hiring as a fresher. Dig out that what roles the company have offered. So the student do all these exercises. We have a session planned with them, and then we do a one-to-one discussion with them, that where they are struggling. And so this is about the career development. Then I move to personal development. I ask our student to give a very crisp or sometimes elongated also a personal narrative document, where a student opens the heart. It's a document which is confidential between me and my student. So they write where they are struggling personally in terms of their skills, personality, or a personal life also, those who wish to talk about that, and which is affecting their career development also. And then we work on each of these attributes of the student. A student poor in communication, I have to give a separate prescription. A student who is wonderful in, let's say, communication, but it's very scared of writing for aptitude examination, I have to give a separate prescription for the student, right? So student at times on a grooming attributes also, how you're going to be presentable in your interviews and all. This is all the exercises which is done between the coach and the coachee. And this is well documented. Each coach document this and keep it as filed part, which we use it for accreditation purpose also, and definitely it's useful for us as well. So this is how we map it. Regarding sports, sir, it's very difficult to map that. So, I mean, as an institution, we present our facility, we present the list of activities to the bodies which accredit us or to our students also. But this doesn't go to, let's say, attainment of program learning outcome. As a B school, we never thought of having a great physical attribute going as a program learning outcome. So never thought of keep capturing it as a program learning outcome.
Because in the morning we had the resource person talking about mapping certain things. So certain things actually come out when we make them do these kind of activities, say adventure or sports. Leadership, real presence of mind.
Leadership we do. So leadership we do. We have a course called Leadership Labs. So there, the senior students are actually the buddy mentors, and the junior students are actually having some attributes, exercises planned for them. And the seniors actually monitor the juniors. Faculty do not only have a facilitator role in between. That we document, assess, give the marks to student, and we do it strongly. So leadership lab is something which we do very strongly. Field exercise is also one. So that we do. Field is like what we call it's again for an immersion program for leadership development. That's what we field immersion for leadership development. That's the full form which they call. The students are divided into 3 categories. One, they first to explore themselves and the environment. Then they go to the small companies, the startups usually to do the live project. And the third, it actually culminates into a idea generation for a business plan or entrepreneurial venture. That is also graded and mapped. That also have a learning outcomes which will be mapped as to the students' learning. Career track is something which we also do at our university, where a student is actually again in 2 parts. The first part, the student have to identify 4 dream companies. In the second part, the student only have to connect to the HR of the companies and schedule a visit for his group or her group to that particular company, have a word with HR and have a discussion at length. And they are being awarded marks because they submit the report back to us. And this is how we do for some of the courses which we map, which are experiential learning courses, what we call it.
Thank you, ma'am.
Good afternoon.
Apurva Mishra, you want to say something?
Yeah.
Go ahead, sir.
Actually, I belong to Tier 2 institution, which is affiliated with the university, and we are going for MBA accreditation. So I want to want to ask one question that, am I audible to you?
Sir, you are very faintly audible to me. I cannot hear you very loudly or clearly.
Okay. I want to,
I would be happy if you could type the question. I would be able to answer that clearly. You can't? Okay, I'll try to hear, so go ahead.
Actually, I wanted to ask one question that we are going for MBA accreditation and we are tier 2 institute. We are affiliated with one state university and the POs which are defined in MBA program, we can take those POs only or we need to add some more POs also on that? First question this. And second question is that when we add PLO, we map or assess that PLO, program learning outcome assessment when we do, there are two parameters on which we need to do. One is direct assessment, another one is indirect assessment. So direct assessment, we need to take only the university prescribed examination or we can take our own examinations also.
So direct assessment, you can, I answer the second question first. Direct assessment is university prescribed, usually if you're an affiliated university. And if you are taking a direct end-term examination, explicit examination, that comes in the direct assessment. Your indirect assessment includes your continuous assessment or any mid-semester assessment, any kind of projects you are doing or any kind of innovative assessment you are using, but not as an end-term, could be considered as indirect assessment. Or some of them defined as an end-term examination as a direct assessment, whereas asking a student to prepare a report, do a research work, or preparing a video exercises, or for a, let's say for a retail module, preparing a retailing plan, for e-commerce, doing a categorization or cataloging, all these comes under indirect assessment also.
What about the
and for your POs and POs, those same for your program outcomes, that could be same. Yeah, in NAC accreditation, that's very confusing, Ranjan sir, that POs and PSOs.
NBA accreditation. I'm going
even NAC also asked that NBA accreditation asks this PO, PSO, and CO as well.
Yeah.
Yes, so PO is your program outcome, which is coming from the mission and vision. POs is the what you can say the program education.
Ma'am, I have one doubt.
Yeah. Yes, sir.
Actually, like if we are reading the MAP NAC guideline, there we generally come across the terminologies like PO, PSO, and CO. But while assessing the course file or the course outline of some other universities or colleges, some separate different terms are we come across different terms. Like just now you were mentioning about program learning goals. So is that similar to, like, what I can understand is the program learning goal similar to PSO?
Yes, you are right.
Okay,
absolutely
okay.
Right.
So that means that institutions or the universities, they are at freedom to coin these terms, which may be equivalent to PO, PSO, and COs of NAC or some other accrediting agencies.
To answer your question, sir, two things here. When the accreditation agencies like NAC or NBA comes, we show them the similarity. So what we use is PLOs and all this coming from the international agencies like ASES to define them as PLOs and all, PLGs and all. So we actually have to justify them that yes, we use PLGs at the term instead of PSOs, but they are exactly same. So we have not been objected by the agencies for using these terms.
Okay,
For example,
so actually we need to like we need to just like explain or just give like PSO stands for, or if we are nomenclature is slightly different, then we need to explain that PLG is the such and such
PSOs.
thing. Correct.
We need to tell them this, and when they read the document, they understand that what we are saying.
Okay.
For example, your CO course outcome, we call it module learning goals or module learning outcomes.
correct.
So that changes, and that is accepted by MBA only.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you.
Any more questions before we end?
So I had a wonderful audience, Saima, today, Dr. Saima, and I will begin first from thanking you for patiently being there for the whole day with all of us and giving me this opportunity to speak to the audience. Probably I have also learned a couple of things by the people who are interacting very strongly, which we could look forward towards working more. So apart from
Dr.
that,
Vidya, you can share your email ID in the chat box. Some faculty members are asking for it. Otherwise, all the instructors are added in the WhatsApp group in which you all participants are added. So ma'am's ID is there, very much there. And this brings us to the end of day one. And you all have been wonderful audience. And thank you, Dr. Vidisha, for such an interesting and engaging session. And I'm very sure that the participants would be able to effectively implement some of these learnings into their mapping of program learning goals. So today's theme, as we conclude, is on curriculum development, and curriculum for B schools, we know that is a very, very dynamic content, and not just in terms of content, but innovative assessment is also included in the same. And we start with taking 360-degree feedback from all the stakeholders, starting from recruiters to students. For the students, it can be midway feedback and then end of the course feedback. Then also we approach industry expert to take their feedback to make the content industry ready and make our graduates employable. So all these things help us in long way of achieving our results. So thank you all. Thank you again for joining. And tomorrow we are going to start with another interesting theme, which is on student engagement. And tomorrow we have some very good speakers on relevance of student engagement in management education. How do we do it at ILM University? And also for innovative ways of student assessment, for innovative ways of student engagement, Mr. Raj Nehru, Vice Chancellor, Vishwakarma Skill University will be joining us. So stay tuned. All the best. Thank you. Thank you for joining. And keep posting your queries. I've already posted the feedback link. We'll be taking it every day. And yes, we'll try to make it short for you, but we value your suggestions. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you all. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.